All right, I'm working on my creature. I have it open in Photoshop. I know that I have the right pixel dimensions and size, and it's going to print larger than 8 by 10, larger than 300 pixels per inch. But now I'm trying to trim out this outside edge, and I change the position of the hand using Command T by duplicating it and putting it on top onto its own layer. Now I have to blend that into the layer behind. And when I'm blending soft into soft textures like this knuckle here, I start with a 100% opacity eraser. And you don't want it to look too copy-pasty, right? So I don't want any of those hairs to seem identical. And even trim out some of these shadows. So those are actually the same shadow, just from two different layers. All right. Now details matter, but you never need to zoom in more than 300%. You really don't even need to zoom in more than 200%, which is what I'm at right now. So don't get obsessive about zooming in and correcting. Only go about 200 to 300%, because that's what you'll be able to see with your eye in a print. All right. So now I'm going to combine those layers back together. Now that I've blended them, I can blend them maybe a little bit more here. Nope, that's why. Yeah, no, I liked it where it was. Okay, so now how do I combine them? Well, it's this layer and this layer. I select them both by holding down Shift or Command, so they're both highlighted. And then I'm doing what's called layer merge layers. The shortcut is Command E, but it's going to move those two layers into one layer again. And that's helpful so that it's all in one place. All right, now I can see if there's any other elements I want to add that I feel are missing. I know there's a big chunk missing there. So how can I work with that? How can I internally composite? Well, one way is I can bend this arm out of the way. So I'm going to show you a new type of warp, a new type of transform that's specifically for things you've cut out very carefully. And to do it, I'm going to do it as a duplicate so you can see it. And I'm going to mark this as purple. And I'm going to call it Puppet Warp. This is the first time we've used it. We'll use it more when we do animation. So Puppet Warp is only for cutouts. Oh, and I'm on the wrong layer. That's a bummer, because I just named it. Oh no, it was the right layer. Never mind, because it was a duplicate. So there it is. I just turned off what it was duplicating behind it. Okay, now Puppet Warp, you see how that's a pretty clean cutout. So when instead of just doing transform and regular warp, which allows me to kind of tug this in different ways, and that kind of works. But you see how it also stretches the hand out, because I want to bring that fur up. That's one option. But Puppet Warp, I do this way. I go to Edit, and instead of Free Transform, I go 2 above it to Puppet Warp. And what that will do is it puts a polygon mesh over my cutout. And then I pin it like I'm pinning an insect down to a tray where I want it to stay put. And then I pin it in the middle of the hands. And then I can move it, and you see how it will move from those pivot points. So I'll want to make it kind of match the angle of my anatomy a little bit better. And sometimes that can really distort the individuals. I can pin it at the elbow and move that elbow out a little bit. And this is just a different type of warp. So let's see which one we think looks more believable. That or this? And to me, I think that one works a little bit better because that collarbone fits a little bit with that neck. But I'm still not done. I'm going to take internal compositing from this portion of the neck of that monkey, duplicate it, internally composite, transform it, right-click, flip it horizontally, and then warp it on this side. Just so I have some of that fur there I can play with to wrap around. Now it's tricky as I don't need any of that darker fur. And let's see what else. I need to erase this transition from the head. So I got to pick this line a little bit more carefully now. Then I can move that selection through the different, whoops, not that layer, through the different layers. So I go to my head, I can trim it. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I like adding things like pine cones, anything that can work with your organic structures. It doesn't, your sources don't only need to be animals. All right. So now it's about kind of refining these kind of textures. And I'm going to take that shoulder piece that I copied, and I'm going to erase away from that at 100% opacity, reveal the hand, and blend it in with what's around. And once you've gotten rid of the hard edge, then I can go to lower opacities. I can even bring that layer up and kind of erase it back, but I have to start at 100% opacity. Right? It's tricky because it wraps around the neck. And those lower opacities I like to do around 30. It helps blend the colors as well. But now I need to get it underneath the hand. So I can just erase the hand out. And maybe I shrink it a little bit with transform and just a simple warp to push it away from the silhouette of the hand. And I can even go back to that arm, right, and warp that, pull it away a little bit more. So it has some distance. Okay, let's see how that's all looking. Yeah. Okay. So now I've got the skeletal structure pretty clear. Little things, I want this to cover up. I don't like the bony knee showing there, so I'm going to warp it just right there. And then tug this back so there's a lot of overlap. Okay. And then this piece, I'm just going to warp. This is to give me just a lot of connective tissue. Now I still have a trick which is called clone stamp for helping with transitions where I don't have clear elements I can internally composite. But I want to get the outside all trimmed out first. And having that gray background makes that really easier. So let's see, I got to find, where is it? This layer. So I'm going to use Auto Select Layer, the Move tool. There it is. So I'll trim that out. And then use the Move tool with Auto Select Layer. Find that one. No, nope, that's not it. So it's this layer. There we go. Oh, and it's the monkey's face. That's what the problem is. Okay. So yeah, I got to trim all that stuff out. Basically a lot of stuff in here. It's a little monkey's nose right there. Okay, now, if there's anything else I want to add, I can always go to my references. And the one thing I didn't add is the little fishtail at the back of the head, and I think it needs something there. And so I got this reference. It's from a fighting fish. And it's nicely on a black background, so it should be easy to select out. So what do? See, I'm going to shrink it a little bit. I know I don't need it that big. It's going to run behind his head. Hoo-hoo! Lovely. And I'm going to move everything. So now it's about organizing our layers. So even though it's still a smart object, I'm going to take everything above my sketch, even all my smart objects, hold down Shift, select them all, and then use the Move tool and uncheck Auto Select so that they will all move with me into the middle so I can see everything clearly. And then I am going to make a new layer at the back and say Edit Fill with Middle Gray. So I can have gray surrounding it, and now I can deal with this fin. So this is just like the beginning of compositing. I'm going to use my magic wand and select all that empty space, even though it's not a perfect selection, right? And then I'm going to do, say, Select Inverse, so it selects what's inside. And then I'm going to say Command-J to duplicate it, and then turn off the Smart Object. Now, before I trim it out completely, maybe I want to play with transforming it a little bit. I can rotate it a little bit. There's the body of the fish here, so that should probably flow with the forehead. Right? And then I can warp it a little bit. Kind of push it in certain ways to accentuate the shape of the eye. Yeah. Now how do I get a nice transition? Well, before I start erasing this and blending it, I want to play with direct adjustments. So can you guys tell me what the 3 direct adjustments are? So I go to Image. This is to help match lighting and color. So levels is first, yes. Levels is the first one always needed. I'm going to adjust the midtones. Do I want to go brighter? Do I want to go darker? That's actually pretty hard to tell. Depends how transparent I want this to feel. I think I'm going to go a little bit darker. I'm going to limit the highlights just a tiny bit. Okay. Next, what's the next direct adjustment? We did levels. What's next? Color balance.